For number 12, the directions are find the domain of the function below. And we've got f of x equals the square root of x squared minus 3x minus 4 divided by 6x squared minus 54. So let's review the rules for domain of a function. So x is never allowed to cause division by 0. Technically, in no form of math are we ever actually allowed to divide by 0. And in calculus, there's a whole branch of math called limits where we weasel out of that prohibition. But we really never divide by 0. Now, there are two more rules we need to worry about. No negative numbers under a square root, and then no logs of negative numbers. Those two are by agreement in high school math for our functions. If we take the square root of a negative number, we get an imaginary number out. If we take the log of a negative number, we get a complex number out. And there's just an agreement in high school math that given a function, so I'm going to use the meat grinder analogy of a function. So we're only going to put in real numbers, and we only want real numbers coming out. Should you become a math major and take a class called complex analysis, then we're going to allow complex numbers into functions and complex numbers out. We don't do that in high school math, and we're not going to do that on this placement test. So I'm going to rewrite this function. So f of x equals, I'm going to factor underneath the square root. So I'm going to have an x plus and an x minus. I've got minus in the middle, so this needs to be a -4, and this needs to be a +1. And then here I can factor out a 6 and get x squared minus 9, and I can further factor the denominator. So x plus 1 times x minus 4 divided by 6 times x plus 3 and 6 minus 3. Okay, so if I sketch this as a quadratic function, I'm going to have a x-intercept at -1, an x-intercept at 4, and we're going to go between there. This is going to hit at y equals -4. But the key is we can be equal to -1 and -4, but we can't be in between because we don't want a negative number underneath the square root. So this part is giving us we can be from -infinity to -1 inclusive, because we can be 0 up there, union with 4 to +infinity. Now here, x can't equal -3, x can't equal +3. But the +3 is here, so we already took that into account. So our total domain, we're going to go down to -infinity, and actually those should be a parenthesis. So -infinity up to -3, but not including -3, union with -3 to -1, inclusive at -1, union with 4 to infinity, and we're including 4. So we'll go check their answer. So -infinity to -3, union with -3 to -1, inclusive there, union with 4, inclusive to +infinity. That concludes this video.